Let us pray. Almighty God, the creator and ruler of heaven and earth, we beseech thee to inspire and guide all our actions so that we may always walk in the path of justice, love, and charity to one another. Help us with thy grace to do only those things that will promote the unity, peace, happiness, and prosperity of Nigeria in general and Lagos State in particular. Amen. Good afternoon, distinguished colleagues. You are all welcome to today's sitting. Let us quickly go through the votes and proceedings of Monday, 24th September 2020. Page 219. Page 220. Page 221. Any message from the Governor, Deputy Clerk?
The Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members, Lagos State House of Assembly, there is no message from the Governor.
Any other announcements?
Yeah, we have 2 years, and with your kind permission, I'll quickly go through them. This is to inform honorable members that the public hearing on Lagos State Transport Sector Reform Amendment Bill 2018 is scheduled for Wednesday, 30th September 2020 at the House of Assembly Pavilion, Assembly Complex, LSHA Ikeja by 12 noon. Members are enjoined to attend the event. Honorable Adewale Temitokpa Adedeji, Chairman, Committee on Transportation. The second one, this is to inform the House that the Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members are hereby invited to the laying of 60,000 cupcakes by the Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu, to mark the 60th Independence Day anniversary of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, scheduled to hold at Teslim Balogun Stadium, Surulere, on Thursday, 1st October 2020 by 2 p.m. Your attendance will be highly appreciated. Thank you. Honorable Oluwa F.I. for Chairman, Committee on Tourism, Arts and Culture.
Petition.
There is none, sir.
Matter of urgent public importance. Personal explanations. Reports. Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My report is titled Appointment of Clerk or Acting Clerk. You will, distinguished honorable members, Right Honorable Speaker, you will recall that our clerk retired about a month ago. And you also know that the nature abhors vacuum. You also know that the legislation runs on the law and convention. In furtherance of this, and because it might be egregious to continue to procrastinate on the appointment of clerk and/or acting clerk. Also with the law, it is the responsibility of the honorable members and the selection committee of this House to so appoint. I'm reporting that we've met and we've also taken note that in order not to sacrifice excellence in the altar of speed, we have decided to appoint an acting clerk. We consider so many candidates, and so many factors came into play: suitability, desirability, desire, competence, and extraneous factors. The Speaker, Right Honorable Speaker, sir, it is my pleasure to tell you that we have appointed Mr. Obi Onofeko as the acting clerk of this legislature. The signed copy has been presented. The signed copy of the meeting has been presented to you this morning. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Having listened to the reports given by Deputy Speaker, are we all in favor of the announced person for the acting clerk? If you are in support, honorable colleagues, kindly please raise up your hands. Thank you. So, Mr. Babafemi Onofeko, is it Babafemi, Deputy? Huh? The name, the full name. Onofeko is hereby appointed as the acting clerk of the Lagos State House of Assembly. Yeah, thank you, sir. Before the business of the day, we have in our midst honorable members from Borno State House of Assembly. We have Honorable Malami Wakil Korede. Am I right, Korede? Yeah, that is nice one. From Damboa State Constituency. Also, we have Honorable Baba Malabuka, Bama Central Constituency. You are most welcome. And Honorable Alhaji Ali Kotoko, Maiduguri Metropolitan. You are most welcome, sir. With them, we have Alhaji Mustafa Omar, Protocol Officer. You are welcome, sir. And Mrs. Olubiyo Fumilayo, the Liaison Officer, Lagos State. You are welcome. Okay. Thank you for coming. We appreciate your presence in our midst this month. Our business of the day, Majority Leader.
Right Honorable Speaker, distinguished colleagues, first on the order paper for today is House of Assembly motion number 25. The motion is sponsored by 11 members, the prime mover of which is Honorable Sonny GBO, representing Koshofe Constituency 1. The motion is titled, Call on the State Government to establish micro, small, and medium enterprises, commercial hubs in all the senatorial districts of the state. With the kind permission of Mr. Speaker, may I humbly invite Honorable Sonny GBO to present his motion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Sonny Okolao.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, distinguished colleagues. I rise before you this afternoon, to speak to this all-important motion, which has to do directly with the economic well-being of Lagosians, and which I consider as an economic catalyst. It goes thus. Call on the state government to establish micro, small, and medium enterprises, MSMEs, commercial hubs in all the senatorial districts of Lagos State. This House notes the efforts of the federal government of Nigeria in the recognition of MSMEs as the engine room for driving the Nigerian economy, and the establishment of a co-fashion hub at Ikeja, making it a one-stop center for fashion designers to share facilities and resources. Further note the commitment of the state government under the leadership of Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu, the governor of Lagos State, in creation of more business-friendly environment for MSMEs to flourish through the MSME clinics initiative, in which MSMEs shared facility scheme that will be accessible to skilled and semi-skilled fashion design experts at a token fee per day, to serve as an encouragement and thereby enhancing productivity that could compete favorably with their fashion designer counterparts around the world and promote Made in Lagos brand. Also note that this recently commissioned Eco-Fashion Hub is a fashion cluster shared facility for MSMEs and will provide high-quality operating equipment that small businesses can access at a reasonable cost within a conducive space. Observe that the shared facility has a total of 161 machines, which includes 74 industrial straight sewing machines, 10 industrial steam pressing irons, 4 monogramming machines, 8 industrial button hole, and 5 industrial button tacking machines, tinko and coil machines, hemming and industrial weaving machines, among others. Is aware that the Eco-Fashion Hub aims at becoming one of the leading commercial hubs in Nigeria and is equipped with first-class machines and equipment estimated to service about 380 MSMEs daily and 136,800 yearly. Is further aware that the hub will enable production of a diverse range of clothing such as garments, wedding dresses, military uniforms, office wear, and products that will be ubiquitous on the streets and in stores around the country. Recognizes that the Fashion Hub is a fair where entrepreneurs are given stores free of charge to showcase their products, talents, and thus create wealth, boost employment, as well as networking with others to further share experience, gain better exposure, and ideas that will create even greater opportunities and thereby enhancing the growth of the GDP of the state. Further recognizes that the fashion industry will be one of Nigeria's biggest sources of revenue and would support the oil sector of the nation, and realizes that if these commercial hubs are established within the other senatorial districts of the state, the fortune of several Lagosians will change positively, and many unemployment and poverty-related issues will be addressed. Resolves to commend Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu, the governor of Lagos State, on the laudable partnership of the Fashion Hub commissioned virtually by the federal government, and call on Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu, the governor of Lagos State, to direct the Commissioner, Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Cooperatives to work out modalities on how to establish more MSMEs, commercial hubs, considering peculiarities of the senatorial districts in Lagos State. I so move.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to commend the prime movers
There's a motion on ground. Are you seconding the motion?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. I so second, Mr. Speaker.
All in favor, say aye. Those against, nay. The ayes have it. Yeah, who goes first? Honorable, okay. Honorable Jimmy, let me allow you since he has started it.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Firstly, I want to commend the prime mover and the members of this particular group who have moved this motion today. Now, the fashion industry can be classified as what we call the creative industry. Now, when we talk about a creative industry, we're talking about industries which have their origins from individuality, creativity, skills, talents, and have a potential for the wealth and job creation through generation and exploitation of intellectual property. It is argued that industries within this route, such as this particular fashion sector, has an important and integral part of creating jobs in any economy, and then in rebasing the economy at the time we are right now. I believe such sections are extremely key. According to the PricewaterhouseCoopers House, it says the lump sum together of the creative industry has grown from 4.8 billion in 2015 to about 8 billion in 2019. Without much to say, we've seen such an impact of such a creative industry as we have mentioned. Now, as the country seeks to diversify into other things apart from the petroleum resources which we have relied on for the longest time, and from the dependency of such revenues, it is important that we realize that this is a veritable source of incremental source of employment. We have notable people, international reputes, the likes of Diola Sego, Lisa Fulawiyo, Maya Tapo, who have shown that the fashion sector can be taken to a greater height. To this end, sir, I want to support that this particular sector of the fashion part of it be extended to other senatorial districts. But with the little caveats in the motion, which is, I believe, the part of security and military apparatuses, which they say that they're going to do, may have to be withdrawn because this might not be within the jurisdiction of the fashion sector being able to do military apparatus. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Holang.
I thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the basic essence of government is to ensure the well-being of its citizenry. Life will become more and more livable and abundant only if our SMEs can grow. In countries that we refer to as Asian tigers, specifically let me say China, what they do essentially to earn them the advanced country that they are called is to aggregate and cluster, MSMEs, enterprises into a hub and support them infrastructurally and economically. That's what makes them tick today. China conceived the idea of one village, one product, one town, one industry. With that, we can grow our economy in Nigeria. We have started with this laudable project of a co-fashion hub, but we can advance it if even the state government and the local government can activate actions towards establishing more and more economic hubs, commercial hubs in the state. For instance, in Ekpe, Ibejuleki, Etiosa, what they do majorly and what I can refer to as their economic mainstay in that axis of the state is fishing. The state can decide to build fish market hub in that area and support them infrastructurally, economically, with all resources at our disposal to allow them grow. We aggregate them, we cluster them, bring them together, and there they shoot up. For instance, in Badagry, in Lagos, we have over 182 coastal belt of coconut. It is just lying fallow. There is nothing like value addition. What we can do in that space to help the entrepreneurs dealing in coconut sector is to aggregate, cluster them, converge them, bring them together, support them with infrastructure, with technology, innovations, and the rest of it. Even finances, they will shoot from there. Coconut, we can do a lot of things with it. Over 100 products, they call it tree of abundance. There's no lying fallow without adding any value to it. So if government can come out to do what we have just said about aggregating them, clustering them together, it will help a great deal. Mr. Speaker, I was in Mexico. It is not different from what I have said. They aggregated coconut processors, coconut producers, and they supported them with government infrastructure. In India, in Sri Lanka, in Philippines, coconut to them is like oil to Nigeria. What they do is just to add value, to help with infrastructure, with technology and resources. And there they move on. Mr. Speaker, Nigeria of today, our unemployment rate is 24%, inflation rate is 13%. The interest rate on banking loan is killing. So any investor who takes a loan from the bank should be ready to, will be challenged with this interest rate that is killing. So even attain a margin of safety will be a challenge. So if government can create such a hub and assist them with infrastructure support, economic support, financial support, and the rest of it, there is no need for individual entrepreneur to start looking for capital to start a business. You already have a hub that you can access and do your business and go out. So this is just the idea behind it, Mr. Speaker. I thank you very much while I yield the floor.
Honorable Low.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My colleague, good afternoon. Mr. Speaker, I appreciate the federal government, but this is what is happening world over. If you look at the economies of the developed nations of the world that we can call the powerful nation of the world, America, you can talk about South Korea, you can talk about all other countries. You appreciate the fact that it is MSMEs that make them to be thick. They are private-driven economy that generates nothing less than 70% employment and contribute to the GDP or GNP of the nation at around 60%. That is what federal government is trying to do. And if you don't do that in Nigeria today, whatever our political economic calculation is going to be in futility, because every family is represented in these MSMEs. What do we need? It's very simple. They are semi-stroke, non-skilled employers. We need them because every nation now needs to look at that ratio. If you have to reduce insecurity that is generated by unemployment. Somebody just gave us the statistics on unemployment. But what I'm trying to say is this. When we have MSMEs in East Territorial District, it's going to be according to the peculiarity of East Central District and the socio-economic realities of that Central District. For example, in Shomolu, for example, we know Shomolu is splitting up. It's not well over in Africa. What stops us from having another commercial hub there? We have people that come together, they converge together. That is going to reduce what I call pollution of the environment. It's going to reduce noise pollution as well. Then it's going to allow for what I call linear integration, economic-wise, where some product will be a byproduct for another set of business. Through this, everybody around that will have economic prosperity, and we are talking about multiplier effect of these hubs. And if the same thing is replicated in all the central districts of Lagos State, what will happen that we are going to spread prosperity. There will be job for the skilled and unskilled and semi-skilled. That means you don't need to go to university for you to be accommodated. And ultimately, it's going to increase sense of welfare, security of the people. And naturally, the incidences of insecurity would have been erased Mr. Speaker, is a good one. In addition to that, federal government and state must provide palliative in form of accessibility to finances at single digit rate. What that will do is that it's going to reduce cost of production. It's going to allow for economies of scales. Ultimately, push down the price of goods, and it's going to increase the welfare of the people. Mr. Speaker, it's a very good motion that I support. I want our governor to look at it critically, provide all the necessary machinery and infrastructure to support this. Ultimately, Mr. Speaker, it's going to increase the welfare, security, and well-being of Nigerians, which is Section 14(2)(b). That's our article of faith, Mr. Speaker. The essence of governance is for the welfare and security of the people. We would have achieved that. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Tobo.
To lay my voice to this noble motion. As we all know, that the SME is a very useful instrument to enhance the socio-economic development of any nation. And it's based on this that the federal government, over years, has established so many agencies, the NDE, the NIDB, Nigerian Industrial Development Bank, the Nigerian Agricultural banks, just to make sure they encourage the SME. But what we're getting, we are not getting the much needed result. As we all know, that the SMEs, they are faced with so many problems. First, funding. They find it very difficult to get funds. They find it very difficult to sustain when there are crises. And they find it very difficult to at least liberate themselves when it comes to funding. So if government can come to their aid, set up these hubs in various, in the 3 senatorial districts, what will we achieve? One, we will be able to encourage them to come together. Then they will be able to share technology development. It will be a training ground for the new entrepreneurs who are coming into the business, because they are going into that sector and they are learning fast. All those technologies that they will find it very difficult to get themselves, they will find access to it because government will have provided for it, and they will be working at a very subsidized rate. A lot of young girls will learn, and a lot of young people will learn, will train from this up. At the end of the day, it will enhance economic development of that area. It will reduce the rate on unemployment. It will encourage growth. At the end of the overall, government will be able to reduce tax levied on entrepreneurs who have not even survived, not to talk of paying taxes. But because the government up, they will be encouraged, and they will reduce tax policy on them. So overall, globally, Lagos will be better off economically, and it will spread to the country where we will be financially independent. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Olumo. Honorable Noyim.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, sir. Firstly, I would like to commend the prime mover of this motion. I want to say that it's the right step in the right direction. Secondly, I would like to commend the Governor of Lagos State, Governor Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu. On the 18th of September 2020, he commissioned a co-fashion hub in Alade Market. I also commend him for that. What I want to say, and I want to support this motion, I want to say that if we could focus more on this MSME, there will be an unprecedented boost in our economy. If we are to look at the developed countries all over the world, or the advanced countries, SMEs are their major backbones. And what are the countries that we are talking about? We are talking about Germany, we're talking about Britain, we'll be talking about USA. Now, if you look at the statistics that I have here with me, there was economic reformation in China. The country records 5 million new SMEs every year, which represents 10% of their growth. In Beijing alone, there were over 3,100 industrial SMEs generating more than $2.8 billion annually. In Nigeria, the SMEs contribute 48% to our gross domestic product and contribute 84% to our employment. According to the Business Day paper of July 2019, quoting the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, MSME rose by 12.3% with 4 years, from 37 million in 2013 to 2.5 million in 2017. In the report, Lagos, Ogun, and Osun State of Southwest account for the highest gaining states for the growth in the number of SMEs. As of December 2017, which is the latest survey that we have so far, MSMEs generated about 60 million jobs in the state. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to say that it's the right step in the right direction. If we have to focus on this MSME, there will be to create opportunity for employment. It will improve the standard of our living. And I want to add that, if you permit me, Mr. Speaker, sir, that part of our resolve, we should add that we should conduct, that the state government should conduct an evaluation of MSMEs in Lagos State with the aim of unlocking the potentials of that sector by understanding its challenges, its risks, and its potentials. If you permit me, we can add it to our resolve. Secondly, I want us to add to our resolve is, I also want us to call on the state government to stick to that while it is creating these SMEs up in the state, you should look into the bottlenecks and challenges where the SMEs require strengthening and support. I want to say that I support this one. Thank you, sir.
Who has the line at the back? Yeah, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues. I too want to lend my voice to this very, very valid motion, sir. SMEs, they currently account for 4 out of 5 jobs worldwide when we think about the formal jobs that individuals acquire for themselves. And it's estimated that in the next 15 years, we will need about 600 million SME jobs or SME-related employments. And the largest hindrance right now for SMEs or small or medium enterprises is access to technologies, access to finance, and access to international standard product development. So I think this is what our state government should also be looking at. It's very admirable what they've done with the Eco Fashion Hub, but there are other industries in Lagos State that are doing just as well. I'd like to allude to something Honorable Jamila Mohammed said earlier, which is simple. We have film and media, which is possibly Nigeria's largest known industry. It's also an industry that shows the potential of Nigeria's human capital, which is also Lagos State's largest capital. our human capital accounts for, well, our youth human capital accounts for roughly 12 million people. And about 8 million of those people are either out of work or in between jobs. And COVID has made it even more difficult. So with a co-fashion hub, looking at other senatorial districts as well, setting up industries that, or setting up hubs that focus on industries like technology, which is a worldwide industry now, programming and coding, and looking at industries like film and media, I believe that the state government can do a lot more to progress our youth further. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, the next man's listening to you.
Mr. Speaker, good afternoon, honorable colleagues. The thoughtfulness of this prime mover of this motion is commendable. Mr. Speaker, I think now we have to think of what we can do that will add value to our economy, both the state and the federal. Like yesterday, I read a publication by Nana Akufo, the president of Ghana. Go back to your country and make it better, by Nana Akufo. He also said it in that publication that the Nigerian government sent this special envoy to us. We never change the way we govern our nation. I think this really, it is so saddening that 1983, these are the country that they were begging to live in Nigeria. And today, we discover that this country are the majority of the people that supersede or at least dominant in the work, most especially in trade in Nigeria, and both all this key acquisition and everything. If we want to build house, these are the people that we invite to come and construct our house. And now that they are switched to this such action, it is right now for us to make sure that at least we do something that we add value to our economy, most especially for now that the rate of unemployment within the state is so pathetic. So for that, with this bill to be fed, I think this will help the situation in our country, both in Lagos State.
Honorable Ishao.
Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon, colleagues. Well, I want to commend the prime mover of this motion. Like has been said, it's apt, it's very germane, and a very deep issue at hand. I want to commend our governor for hosting the hub, which was implemented, let me just say, opened by the federal government. We provided accommodation, and Lagos State is also providing maintenance. I remember Mr. Governor said there while he was speaking with the Vice President that there will be another hub at Shomolu, and there's going to be another one at Lagos Island, which is very good. But I want us to, I like what my colleagues have said, and they've hammered on it, and I think I should just do the same. And in a hub is a business generator. Let me just use that word. It makes a whole difference to how businesses grow. It makes a whole difference to how nations grow. And it's the SEM are the backbone of any economy, has been said. If you look at Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, 96% of businesses and 84% of employment is basically by this group of people. But more importantly, they face a very adverse condition in our country. Electricity is a big problem. Access to equipment is another problem. Skill they may have, but these things determine what they roll out. By having this hub, you are creating a pool of resources for allowing them to be their best and grow the economy. Fine, we've done the hub, one hub for fashion, but we need to do a lot more hubs. I like the fact that we're talking about peculiarities of different senatorial districts or community as the case may be, but also it is an opportunity for government to drive the society towards prosperity. It doesn't have to mean what you do in your community is about the only thing they will put a hub within your community to achieve. But the comparative advantage of that area would determine a lot of things. Take, for instance, you have a furniture hub where carpenters can go cut their plywoods well, edge for cheap. The quality of furniture you will get in your homes will be different. We've already banned importation of furniture, but these equipment, the appropriate equipment they need to operate with is beyond their reach. So this hub should go beyond fashion. It should also go beyond the environment, but government should use it to direct pilot production growth of the economy. We can have a 3D hub, a 3D printing hub. When I say 3D printing hub, what you get is you have people trying to come up with different designs. Somebody wants to make a phone case, for instance, now. They have designed it, but where did they produce it? They use 3D machines. People cannot afford to buy these 3D machines on their own. But you have a hub, they can produce it there. We can start manufacturing machine parts and so on and so forth. It would just boom the economy like we've never thought of. So I think it's a very good idea, and it's something that needs to be looked into thoroughly to ensure that that sector grows so that we can profit from the economic business and the GDP growth that will come from it, particularly the employment. Thank you.
Honorable Akonde.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Away from the financial, taking away the financial stress, I want to, the motion is germane and on point. I want to come from 3 angles. 1, since we want to promote indigenous products, it is an avenue actually to generate revenue for the state and for the people, but most especially, it is a means of tourism. A situation where we are going to showcase our product and we give it a name that can sell like Giorgio Armani or what have you throughout the whole world. That is 1. 2, it is an avenue to remove or reduce brain drain. A situation where our best artisans or best hand will now travel abroad for greener pasture, that will be reduced. Again, it will give us an opportunity of new innovations, research, so that new ideas can come up. We can be able to sell ourselves to the whole world. I think I am in support of this bill. Thank you, sir.
Honorable Satoji.
Thank you very much, Responsible Speaker. I am really thrilled about this motion, and I feel I want to lend my voice to it, because the backbone of any economy is the middle class. Unfortunately, that has been neglected in our country. That's why we are where we are today. We have the upper class and we have the lower class. The middle class is almost non-existent. A coconut tree is like, there are so many industries, so many small-scale industries that can come out from the coconut tree. Especially as mentioned by my colleague, there is oil there is broom there are so many other things that the coconut tree can produce. I will have a lot of it in my constituency. But those things are not given prime of place again. So this kind of hub, we assist and encourage people to come, so that even when you leave the university or any school, you are not looking for white-collar job again. That you can easily get yourself, train yourself, and be involved with small-scale industries. That's why I want to support this motion wholeheartedly. Thank you, sir.
Lastly, Honorable Laiwola.
I thank you for giving me this rare opportunity to contribute to this motion that is very apt. I equally thank the prime mover of the motion, Honorable Okonlawon. There is no better, Mr. Speaker, there is no better time to talk about this motion that now that Nigeria is facing challenges of world pandemonium. We are all aware of what is happening in Nigeria now, which Nigeria is vulnerable to. The pandemic effort has brought about a major setback to many startup and young farms, which are generally small, and the primary space of job creation, sir. The fashion hub that we are talking about, Mr. Speaker, I believe should not be limited to a particular action, which is fashion. I need to let you know that.
The motion didn't say so.
Okay, I need to let this, Mr. Speaker, and my colleagues know that in my constituency, we can create a shoe hub. In Ladipo Street, sir, the whole street is covered by shoe manufacturers, and we are proud that this set of people are making world as well as standard shoe, especially in that particular aspect. People have been coming from all over Nigeria to come and patronize them. Equally, the printing business too. As is peculiar to Shomolu, we have it in our place too. What I'm saying in essence is that if we patronize our people, the dwindling revenue that we have from Nigerian crude oil sales at the international market is another reason why this motion is very apt. Mr. Speaker, sir, SMC are known for their important contribution to the nation's economy. If we patronize SMC, in fact, we will have job creation, sir. Equally, we will have economic development, provision of goods and services, food security, as well as other healthcare provisions, sir. Available data, just as my people have said.
We have had enough data. Just make your contributions. Don't take us to data you gave me.
Okay, sir, thank you, sir. Available data, then we talk about, beside the creation of employment, it will create revenue for the government because the employee as well as the employer, they will pay what we call pay as you earn, so the government purse. I thank you and I strongly support this motion, sir. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you very much for your contributions. There's no doubt that this is a very good motion, and I'm driving at taking comparative advantage, economic comparative advantage of each senatorial district is something that will bring about socio-economic development, which includes employment, growth, and every other thing. But we should look beyond this. It is not about setting up that is most important. It's all about having a structure in terms of the system in place that will sustain it. You know, it's a different thing to establish, and it's a different thing totally to also sustain what you have established. We have Employment Trust Fund Agency already. We have that. We have Ministry of Commerce and Industry, which also do something relating to this. And we have to bring all these agencies together. So we will not be working from, against each other and have multi-ideas without structure system in place. So of recent, I read about the governor with our Employment Trust Fund donating 5 billion naira to empower people. So the nature of our empowerment should also be structured. It doesn't have to come in terms of cash or financial support. It could be in form of infrastructural development, like what we are talking about today. So if you are putting up your prayers, you should talk about this for us to bring together all the agencies that have to do with this SME concept we are talking about. Honorable Ogolawo, are you ready for the final? Taking into cognizance the suggestions made by the colleagues.
The final prayer goes thus. Commend Mr. Bajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu, the Governor of Lagos State, on the laudable partnership of the government and call on Sanwo-Olu, Commissioner, Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Cooperatives, modalities on how to establish more MSME hubs, peculiarities comparative advantage of all the senatorial districts and harmonize supportive structures for its sustainability. I so move.
Who has the light at back?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise to second the motion as moved.
All in favor say aye. Those against nay, the ayes have it. Our Deputy Clerk kindly direct the reserve of the House to Mr. Governor. Next. Honorable Lowo.
Good afternoon, sir. My colleague, good afternoon. Mr. Speaker, I stand before you to lay a report of the Committee on Finance on the request for approval for the Lagos Rail Mass Transit, LRMT, Red Line and Blue Line project financing, differentiated cash reserve requirement, DCRR, CBN intervention facility, ISOLE.
Thank you. Yeah, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, next on the other paper is House of Assembly Bill number 18, Lagos State School of Health Technology Bill 2020. Mr. Speaker, I wish to move that this bill be read for the first time. I so move.
Well, did you read out the law, the bill? Okay. Honorable Nureni.
Right Honorable Speaker, Honorable colleague, good afternoon. I rise to second the motion as moved.
All in favor say aye. Those against nay, the ayes have it.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues.
Not you, Deputy Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, Lagos State House of Assembly, it is my pleasure to read for the first time Lagos State School of Health Technology Bill 2020. Thank you very much.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, next and final on the other paper for today is House of Assembly Bill number 19, Lagos State Public Complaints and Anti-Corruption Commission Bill 2020. Mr. Speaker, I move that this bill be read for the first time. I so move.
Honorable Shokunle.
Mr. Speaker, fellow colleague, I rise to second the motion as moved.
All in favor say aye. Those against nay, the ayes have it. Deputy Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members of the Lagos State House of Assembly, it is my pleasure again to read for the first time the Lagos State Public Complaints and Anti-Corruption Commission Bill 2020. Thank you very much.
Majority Leader.
Distinguished colleagues, we've exhausted items listed on the other paper for today, and it's time to move for adjournment. With the kind permission of Mr. Speaker and his approval, I move that this House adjourns to Monday, the 5th day of October 2020 at 12 noon. I so move.
Honorable Tebitokwe.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I second the motion as moved.
Yeah, before the prayer, before the question is put, let me inform us there will be a short meeting immediately after sitting. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those against, no. The ayes have it. This House stands adjourned till Monday, 5th October 2020 at 12 noon prompt. I rise.